Hey guys, thanks for joining me today. So it has been so long since I have filmed a video. It's quite a shame actually. It's been about a month since I have filmed anything, and unfortunately I have been fighting a flare-up, which has been part of the reason why I haven't been able to film the past month. So I have some new videos coming along, some makeup videos. I have an awesome giveaway I can't wait to talk to you about. But I did a My Journey with Multiple Sclerosis video, I think back in August, and I promised part 2, and I just hadn't got around to filming it. So I'm going to be filming that for you today. I have my little fur babies in here with me. They're playing and horsing around, so if you hear that, just sorry about that. I am home by myself today, and I kind of have to keep an eye on the dogs. I can't shut them out or they'll destroy the house. So if you're interested to hear about my journey with multiple sclerosis and kind of where I am today, stay tuned. So where I left off, I think in part 1, I had just stopped seeing my neurologist, or just wasn't able to see him. We didn't do the 3rd MRI, and my symptoms slowly started to dissipate. So that was August of 2010, and after those symptoms went away, after that 12-week episode, my life pretty much started to get back to normal. I think I said I attended a friend's bachelorette party and a wedding, so things were starting to get back to normal. I was going back to work, I was feeling good, and I just started to think, you know, maybe it was just a fluke, maybe just something random happened with my body. So December of 2010, I remember it clear as day, I was doing some Christmas shopping at Target, which I know is shocking for some of you. I'm a huge Target lover. For those who don't personally know me, those who do know that being in Target is no shock. But I was doing some Christmas shopping. It was a gorgeous day, it was brisk outside, and I was really excited about the Christmas holidays. A friend was getting married, and I just had a lot to look forward to. I was feeling great, and all of what had happened that summer was behind me. So I just was in a really good place. And I remember walking out of the store that day, getting in my car, putting my purchases in the car, calling my husband to tell him I was on the way home. And as we were on the phone, all of a sudden my face, like in this area, just went completely numb, and I started to slur my words. And it was almost just like I was out of my body looking in at the whole situation. It's just such a bizarre situation. I remember telling him I needed to get off the phone with him, so I did. I put the car back in park, and I just sat there for a second and just relaxed, because I was kind of freaking out. I thought maybe I was having a stroke. You know, logic would be that I would have called 911, but I didn't. Again, I just felt like during the whole situation I was out of my body and I wasn't thinking straight. So the numbness went away very quickly. I was able to talk again. I called him and I drove right home. That started to happen on an everyday basis. It went from like 1 to 2 times a day to 5, 6, 7 times a day, where I would just be having a conversation, and then all of a sudden I'd get this numbness in my face, and then I would start slurring my words. So after I realized it was something that was coming back, or something that was happening over and over repeatedly, I decided to call my general practitioner again, because I wasn't seeing a neurologist. I just called him. And again, I got this same, we're not sure what's wrong with you, you need to go see your neurologist. I told him about the problems I was having with my neurologist, and again, I just got the brush off. Coincidentally, the same week all of this was happening, I received a letter from my neurology office saying that my neurologist had retired, and that any of his former clients were welcome to call and schedule an appointment with another doctor. So I thought this would be a great opportunity to find a new neurologist, find somebody that could fight for me, be an advocate for me, and help me figure out what the heck was going on. So I called the neurologist's office, told them I was a former patient and that I needed to set an appointment with a new neurologist. And this isn't unexpected, but they told me that they had nothing available for about 3 months. I mean, they have so many patients coming in to have scheduled appointments in advance, that it was completely understandable. So I felt a little defeated that I couldn't get in and see a doctor right away, so I just brushed it off. I dealt with the symptoms, and then again, they went away. It was sometime after Christmas that they just went away. So now we're going into 2011, and it was relatively from December of 2010 to about June of 2011. It was a relatively symptom-free, nothing going on time period, and I felt good. I started a brand new job at the current company I'm at now, and I was just in, a really good place. I was feeling healthy. I started a new career. I just had a lot of good things going on, and I remember that it was probably June or July. I had been working at my company a few months. A new symptom developed, and it wasn't a huge detrimental symptom, but it was something that started to impair my everyday life. And the best way I can describe it was just that I could be standing here having a conversation with you, or sitting, lying down, driving my vehicle, and I felt like I was jumping 2 steps ahead. Like I was where I was, and then warp speed 2 steps ahead. That's the best way I can describe it. It wasn't a falling over feeling. It just felt like I was jumping ahead, and I wasn't. I was perfectly stationary, having a conversation with somebody, and I would have to stop my conversation just to kind of let my mind catch up. And this went on for, I would say, 2 or 3 months. At this time, nobody at my office knew anything about what really was going on. I maybe had confided in 1 or 2 people, but it was something I pretty much kept to myself, because I in fact didn't even know what the heck was going on. I'm going to take a sip of coffee. Excuse me. So anyways, that was like sometime in 2011, and that, like I said, went on for a little bit. And then again, the symptoms just disappeared. It seemed to be the kind of recurring theme as they would come on. They wouldn't be extremely severe as my 12-week episode that I had that just debilitated me. I could still function and do things, but they would come on and then go away. Come on and then go away. And I can just remember going through the rest of 2011. There's nothing significant that stands out in my mind during that time period. In fact, I was working out. I was doing a run club with work, and we were running after hours and training for a mud run, which I ended up completing in March of 2012. So I was feeling really great. I was feeling healthy. I changed the way I was eating a little bit, and I felt good. A lot of that, the symptoms and everything, was behind me. I was in a good place again, and just kind of continued on with my life pretty much symptom-free for probably a good year. So entering into 2013, my husband started to develop a lot of chronic pain throughout his body. Chronic pain, fatigue. He just was in bad health, and he started to see a new doctor. We left our general practitioner, and after just, again, not getting very good results from him either, we left him, and we started to see, or he started to see, an internist. This internist was a very caring, or is a very caring, compassionate person. He listened to everything that we had going on. I say we, I'm referring to my husband, because I attended all of his appointments with him. But he just really listened to things that were going on with my husband. He referred him to amazing doctors, and then within a little bit of like 6 months, he was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. So they got him on a treatment plan. He is living currently, right now, a very functional, healthy lifestyle. He is not in pain. So I realized that that doctor was really looking out for him and helped him to get back to being healthy. So I just decided, you know what? I'm going to go set an appointment to meet with him and just kind of let him know what all has transpired in the past 3 years, let him know where I'm at, and then possibly I'll have someone I can go to when these symptoms arise and can help me get diagnosed or help me get better. So I did that. I went and scheduled a new patient appointment with him, and he sat down with me for an hour and a half and just let me tell him everything that had gone on in the past 3 years. He decided that he wanted to recommend or refer me to a neurologist in North Carolina, which in a town in North Carolina, which is about 3.5, 4 hours from where I live. He said, he's one of the best in the country, and I really want to see if I can get you in with him. He has worked with a lot of people and has gotten diagnoses for a patient when others haven't. So I thought, you know what? Let's do this. Let's schedule this appointment, meet with this doctor, and just see if they can find out what is wrong with me. So I made that appointment. We had to schedule, it was about 3 or 4 months out, again, because he had existing patients with standing appointments. So pretty much during those 3 months, I was fine. Towards the end of that period, before I went and saw him, the vision problems that I had in my very first onset attack back in 2010 started. I started again with the tunnel vision, and it just got smaller, and I started honestly freaking out because I was just like, I can't go through this again. I cannot miss 12 weeks of work. I couldn't go through that again. So I called up my internist and told him what was going on, mentioned that I had an appointment scheduled with the neurologist, but it was still a good month away. So my internist called me in. He gave me a steroid injection as well as a steroid taper to see if that would help at all with my symptoms. And it did. It significantly reduced those symptoms to the point where they went away. I believe that was in May. And then I actually got to go up to my appointment with my new neurologist in June. And same thing, he listened to me. I told him about all of my symptoms, and he looked right at me and my husband, and he said, everything you have sounds like multiple sclerosis. And honestly, it wasn't a shock to me to hear somebody else say, I think you have multiple sclerosis, just kind of sealed it in my brain that that's what I have. My mom had it. She had a very bad case of it. And so everything that I had kind of pointed to that. So I went into that appointment thinking that might be what it was. But, just to have someone say, hey, I'm pretty sure that's what this is, it kind of solidified it in my mind that this is what I'm going to be dealing with for the rest of my life. So anyways, he scheduled an MRI. I had not had an MRI in about 3.5 years, so he thought, you know what, we need to go ahead and get this MRI so that we can have a definite diagnosis. The ways to diagnose MS is either a spinal tap, where your spinal fluid will show a buildup of certain proteins, an MRI that shows a lesion or lesions on your brain and spine, and then basically just the exclusion of other items. So we scheduled an MRI. I am extremely claustrophobic, so they had to drug me for my MRI. We just did one of the brain, and the MRI itself, the whole procedure, it's an MRI. It went fine. I was drugged up. Before I get into all of that, let me back up. So my very first appointment with my neurologist, he went over treatment options if in fact I do have multiple sclerosis. He took a lot of blood work. I felt like a human pincushion, which I was accustomed to because I've been getting poked and prodded for the past 3 years. But one of those treatment options was a drug called Tysabri. And Tysabri is a newer drug on the market. It's an infusion. And in order to start the process of taking this, you have to be tested for a virus that probably about 60% of the population has. However, just lies dormant in your body. It's called the JV virus. So I was tested for that. If you test positive, you're not supposed to be taking Tysabri because you could get a very rare brain disease called PML, which there is no cure for, and it can be fatal. It most usually is fatal. So that'll kind of just give you a little bit of background with where I'm going. So I had my MRI that Thursday. That Friday I'm at work, and I had an appointment with my neurologist to go over the results and everything in about 2 weeks for my MRI. However, it conflicted with the scheduling. I had a schedule conflict with work. I needed to change my appointment. So I called that Friday morning and just asked if I could change my appointment, and talked to the receptionist, and she said, actually, we need you to come in Monday morning. Now, I had had my MRI on a Thursday. My appointment originally was scheduled for 2 weeks out. They wanted me in that Monday. And so, of course, I got a little freaked out, and I asked why, and she said that they did not like the results that they saw on my MRI, and that I had some severe inflammation on my brain, and that I needed to be in first thing Monday morning. So I get off the phone, I'm at my desk at work, and all of a sudden the floodgates just open, and I just started crying because I have all these things running through my brain, like maybe it's a brain tumor, maybe I'm dying, what if I have cancer? I mean, I just had all these things, these just very emotional, not logical feelings just running through my brain. I mean, why else does a doctor tell you a day after your MRI that you need to come in first thing Monday? So my boss was kind enough to let me leave work early. I left that day, and pretty much all weekend I was a wreck. I cried. I just prayed. I did so much research on things that you shouldn't be researching. It just made it worse. So I think it was Sunday night when I just was doing some researching online and came across PML, which is the deadly brain disease that can happen if you have a compromised immune system or if you're taking Tysabri, which I currently was not taking. And I freaked myself out thinking, I have PML, I'm gonna die. There's no cure for this, I'm gonna die. So we make the trek up to North Carolina on Sunday. It's a couple-hour drive, Sunday night. My husband was so sweet. He took me out to dinner the next morning before my appointment. My appointment was at like 11:30. He took me to the mall just to kind of get my mind off of everything. We got into the doctor's office, and I just was shaking. I just was shaking everywhere. I was extremely nervous. Get in, meet with my doctor, and apparently it was all a big mistake. The radiologist tech who did the MRI gave the results to the radiologist here in South Carolina where I live, and thought that I was currently taking Tysabri, which I wasn't, and saw this mass in my brain, which was a lesion that he thought was PML. So in fact, they did think that I had this deadly brain disease, and they needed to get me up to my doctor's office right away. So none of that happened. I worried for absolutely nothing. It was a big misunderstanding, a terrifying misunderstanding for me. But as we got to the results of the MRI, my doctor noticed that I had 3 rather large lesions on my brain. I had one on the top of my spinal cord back here. I had one over in this region, and then again another one here. They were all fairly large in size and very active. They probably had developed right around the time I started having vision problems, again back in May. So what we decided was he was going to put me on a 200 milligram steroid taper to start with, so we could go ahead and get the lesions closed, healed, gone, or not gone, but just healed, and to no longer be inflamed. And then we would talk about treatment options. So I went on the steroid taper. It was 200 milligrams for, I believe, 5 days, and it tapered off. And if you've ever taken a high amount of steroids, it was probably, besides that 12 weeks, one of the worst things I've gone through. I had a lot of hypertension. I gained about 13 pounds. Some of my makeup videos I did when I was just really swollen and big, and you could just see I had this, they call it moon face. I mean, my face was big and round. I had a lot of swollen, my knees were swollen, my joints were swollen, they hurt. I was extremely wired for the most part. I couldn't sleep at night, so I was on, because I'm taking this powerful steroid, they have to give you other medication to counteract the problems that it gives you. So I was on a acid reflux medicine. I can't remember the name of it. It's a common one. I was taking a blood pressure medicine. I was taking a diuretic. I was taking a sleep aid. So I felt completely awful. Shortly after all the steroids were out of my system, I started changing my diet and lost the poundage a lot, thank goodness, because it was so much extra on my body. I already need to lose weight, and here was to add more weight to it. So after that happened, I went back to my doctor, and we started talking about treatment options, and we finally decided on the treatment that I would start, the treatment therapy. So I'm going to end here because this is a really long video, and I've probably bored you to death. But I am going to film my treatment options, kind of where I am today. Like I said, I am currently having a flare-up right now. But I just wanted to talk to you guys and let you know where I am. And I will be posting part 3, my treatment, and just some tips that I have on getting through MS. So thank you so much for watching. I'd love to hear from you if you have any comments or questions, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.